So, good morning to all. Andariki namaskaram. So today we are going to discuss the subject name Banking Theory and Practice. This subject is for 5th semester. It means, so it's a common paper. Common paper means those who are studying become general, become computers and become computer applications. So for all of them, so it is an elective paper. It is elective paper. So the subject title itself, it is Banking Theory and Practice. So for final year, 5th semester students, so this is a common paper. And the today's topic is types of banking. So as already we have discussed in the previous classes, మేము గత క్లాస్లో డిస్కస్ చేసాము. So here one small instruction to all of you people. This is an elective paper, means not elective papers. This elective paper kaadu. This is a common paper for all of the students. All of the students means become general, become computers and become computer applications. Common paper this is, common subject. So it means become general students, they are studying in Telugu medium. Become computers and computer application students, the medium is English. You see? So subject is a common subject for all of you people, but here become general is a Telugu, means they are studying in Telugu medium. Computers as well as computer application students are English medium. So we will use, it's better bilingual. It means Telugu as well as English and English as well as Telugu we can use. So that I am planning to use both languages simultaneously, English as well as Telugu, for better understanding for all of you people. మీ అందరికీ మంచిగా అర్థం కావడానికి రెండు ఉపయోగిస్తాను. So this subject in previous classes also we have discussed it. There are actually 5 units are there. Among the 5 units, first unit is introduction, okay, and second unit is the Reserve Bank of India, nothing but central banking, and third unit is types of banks, category of the banks, and fourth unit is, we can say that, banker and customer relationship, and the last unit is, fifth unit is negotiable instruments. Among the 5 units we have started unit number 1. So the unit number 1, the major important topics which are to be required to cover, they come into our syllabus. One is introduction, second is definition, and third is growth of banking sector in India and emerging trends of the banking sector, banking system in India, and nationalization of banks, and along with that types of banks briefly will cover, and afterwards functions of commercial banking, and lastly branch banking system and unit banking system, along with core banking, mobile banking, online banking. These are all actually the topics which are covered in unit number 1. Because unit number 1 itself is, the name is introduction. So పేరుకు introduction అయినప్పటికీ basics of banking will cover in unit number 1 only. Definition, which will come in unit number 1 only. Types of banks briefly, which will come in the unit number 1 only. And functions of commercial banks, which will come in the unit number 1 only. And core banking, mobile banking, online banking, etc. will also cover in the unit number 1. So that among these topics, already we have discussed that the growth and development of banks in India as well as basics of banking also we have discussed in the previous class. So listen once again. The banking sector, we can say that as worldwide So the oldest and nothing but we can say that Puratana Bank established in the England, Bank of England 1694, and when we come to India, 3 presidential banks which were merged together in the year 1921, established as Imperial Bank of India. So later on it has become as a State Bank of India. It is a different point, and a Reserve Bank of India, so which was actually established by taking a particular act, okay, etc., etc. Already we have discussed in the previous class. And if you come to definition, once again you people listen. Bank is a financial organization which accepting deposit from the public and lending loans to the public. బ్యాంక్ అనేది ప్రజల వద్ద నుంచి డిపాజిట్లు సేకరించి ప్రజలకే రుణాలు అందజేసేటువంటి ఒక విత్త సంస్థ, ఆర్థిక సంస్థ అని మనం చెప్పుకోవచ్చు. ఇట్ మీన్స్ ఇన్ ద డెఫినేషన్ దెర్ ఆర్ 2 మేజర్ పాయింట్స్. 2 ప్రధానమైనటువంటి అంశాలు కనపడుతున్నాయి. One is accepting deposits, another one is lending loans. These 2 points which will come while discussing functions of commercial banking దాంట్లో వస్తాయి. And a very important topic, or we can say that today's topic is, we can say the types of banking. So whenever we will go the types of banking, the Indian banking sector which is classified into 5 categories, 5 రకాలుగా వర్గీకరించబడింది. It means we can say that the types of banking is nothing but 5 categories, 5 రకాలు. So first one is, so if you people having the pen and paper, you have to copy. First one is commercial banking, second one is central banking, third is the regional rural banking, RRBs, and fourth is cooperative banking, and fifth is exchange banking. These are the 5 categories. So in India, according to Banking Regulation Act 1949, so we can say, listen once again, types of banking. The title, today's title and today's topic, if we are discussing the types of banking which are classified into 5 categories, 5 రకాలుగా వర్గీకరించబడింది. Among the 5 categories, first one is commercial banking, వాణిజ్య బ్యాంకులు. Second is central banking, కేంద్ర బ్యాంకు. Third is the regional rural banking, ప్రాంతీయ గ్రామీణ బ్యాంకులు. And fourth one is cooperative banking, సహకార బ్యాంకులు. And fifth is exchange banks, nothing but foreign exchange banks, విదేశీ వినిమయ బ్యాంకులు, we can say. So among the 5 categories, briefly we have to discuss one by one. ఒకదాని తర్వాత ఒకటి మనం బ్రీఫ్ గా డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. Why? Because ఎందుకనంటే in depth it is not required to go in first unit. Why? Because commercial banking which cover in the first unit and central banking which will come in the second unit, and RRBs and cooperative banks and exchange banks which will come in the third unit. You don't worry, because the syllabus which has given to us according to university like this. It means in depth it's required to go while discussing first unit. Why? Because commercial banking only will cover in the first unit. Central banking separately which will have the second unit portion. Second unit లో సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంకింగ్ గురించి మనకి ఉంది, అప్పుడు మనం డిస్కస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. అండ్ ఆర్ఆర్బీస్ అండ్ కోఆపరేటివ్ బ్యాంక్స్ విచ్ వీ హ్యావ్ ద సిలబస్ థర్డ్ యూనిట్, 3వ యూనిట్లో ఉంది. ఓకే, కాబట్టి వీ కెన్ డిస్కస్ ఆల్ దీస్ 5 categories briefly only. బ్రీఫ్ గా మనం డిస్కస్ చేస్తే సరిపోతుంది. ద ఫస్ట్ వన్, కమర్షియల్ బ్యాంకింగ్. So commercial banking is nothing but a general banking, a common banking. We will say that the bank which can give the financial facility and banking facility to all categories of the people, all categories of the society people, we can say that commercial bank. సమాజంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని రకాల ప్రజలకు చేరువలో ఉండి అన్ని రకాల బ్యాంకింగ్ సౌకర్యాలను కల్పించేటటువంటి బ్యాంకులు కమర్షియల్ బ్యాంకులు అని చెప్పుకోవచ్చు. Even the State Bank of India is a commercial bank. Andhra Bank is a commercial bank, now merged with the Union Bank of India. And if you go private banks also, they are in the part of commercial banks, like so HDFC, so like Vaishya Bank, now it is not there. So like other, just like Kotak Mahindra Bank, Alliance Bank, which means commercial banks means banks which are providing all types of banking facilities to the all categories of the people of the society. సమాజంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని రకాల ప్రజలకు అన్ని రకాల బ్యాంకింగ్ సౌకర్యాలు అందజేసే వాటిని మన కమర్షియల్ బ్యాంకులు, ఇన్ తెలుగు వీ కెన్ సే దట్ వాణిజ్య బ్యాంకులు అని చెప్పుకోవచ్చు. అండ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ థింగ్స్ రిలేటెడ్ టు కమర్షియల్ బ్యాంకింగ్ ఈస్ the commercial banking's main milestone in India, we can say that, by establishing Imperial Bank of India in the year of 1921. But all of a sudden Imperial Bank has not been established. Imperial Bank has established by merging of three presidency banks: Presidency Bank of Bombay, Presidency Bank of Bangalore, Presidency Bank of Madras. That is the first milestone, we can say that, in discussion with commercial banking, the establishment of Imperial Banking of India, 1921. So afterwards, another important point we have to say regarding commercial banking, BRA, Banking Regulation Act, 1949. So in the year of 1949, the Indian government, it thought that for the entire banking sector, they should be required one separate act. So immediately they have taken, they have placed, and they have passed separate act for the Indian banking sector. We can say that is Banking Regulation Act 1949. And another important milestone, we can say that, regarding commercial banking, in the year of 1969, there are 14 commercial banks were nationalized by the central government. Nationalized means simply we can say that the ownership transferred from the private people, from the private industry to the government. యాజమాన్యము ప్రైవేట్ నుంచి ప్రభుత్వ రంగానికి వస్తుంది. So in the year of 1969, there are 14 commercial banks were nationalized by the government. And another important milestone we have to say, in discussion with the commercial banking, in the year of 1980, there are 6 commercial banks were nationalized. 6 వాణిజ్య బ్యాంకులు జాతీయం చేయబడ్డాయి. So with effect of that, we will say that the important milestones regarding commercial banking in brief is 1921, establishment of Imperial Bank of India; 1949, Banking Regulation Act; 1969, 14 commercial banks are nationalized; 1980, 6 commercial banks are nationalized. These are the important things in relation with the commercial banking in brief, we will say. And if you go to second one, the second is central banking. Central banking, if we are discussing సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంకింగ్ గురించి కనుక మనం డిస్కస్ చేసినట్లయితే, మాట్లాడుకున్నట్లయితే, సో సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంకింగ్ ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ కంట్రీ దే షుడ్ బి రిక్వైర్డ్ దాట్ వన్ సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంక్. ప్రతి దేశానికి ఒక సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంక్ అవసరము. ఫర్ ఎవ్రీ కంట్రీ దే షుడ్ బి రిక్వైర్డ్ దాట్ వన్ సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంక్. ప్రతి దేశానికి ఒక సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంక్, ఒక కేంద్ర బ్యాంక్ అనేది సో అవసరం ఉన్నటువంటిది ఉంటుంది. మరి సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంకు అంటే ఏంటి, అసలు ఏంటి సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంక్ అంటే? ద బ్యాంక్ దట్ కంట్రోల్స్ ద వాల్యూమ్ ఆఫ్ కరెన్సీ అండ్ క్రెడిట్ ఇన్ ఎనీ కంట్రీ, we can say that central bank. The bank that controls the value of currency and credit. The bank that controls value of credit and value of currency. So value of currency and value of credit. Which bank is controlling that bank, we can say that central banking. So this is central banking in our India. We will say that called as Reserve Bank of India. మన భారతదేశంలో ఈ కేంద్ర బ్యాంకుని, సెంట్రల్ బ్యాంకుని రిజర్వ్ బ్యాంక్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా అనే పేరుతో మనం పిలుస్తూ ఉన్నాం. సో దీని గురించి some important points we have to remember and important points we have to discuss at this juncture. That important points are, first we have to remember RBI Act 1934, Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. With the effect of Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, in the year of 1935, RBI has been established. That's in the private sector. 1935లో రిజర్వ్ బ్యాంక్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా స్థాపితం జరిగింది ఇన్ ప్రైవేట్ సెక్టర్, ప్రైవేట్ రంగంలో. బట్ ఫ్రమ్ 1935 ఆన్వర్డ్స్ అప్ టు 1949 the Reserve Bank of India, which was there in the private sector only. So with effect of Banking Regulation Act 1949, the Reserve Bank of India has been nationalized. It means in the year of 1949, Reserve Bank of India nationalized. Reserve Bank జాతీయం చేయబడింది. And that also from January 1st onwards. It means January 1st, 1949, RBI has been nationalized. The Reserve Bank of India జాతీయం చేయడం జరిగింది. Nationalization we can say. Means ownership transferred from the private hands to government. So with the discussion of central banking briefly, why? Because in depth we will get in the second unit amma. Mana deep ga second unit vastundi. Second unit is separately central banking. So unit number 1 syllabus, central banking is there. We have to discuss in depth in the unit number 2. So here in the unit number 1 is briefly only. So once again listen, the central bank for every country, they should be required to monitor the entire banking system. They should be required one bank which is to be called as central bank. ప్రతి దేశానికి బ్యాంకింగ్ రంగాన్ని క్రమబద్ధీకరించడానికి, మానిటర్ చేయడానికి ఒక బ్యాంక్ అవసరము. So that bank is known as central bank. దాన్ని కేంద్ర బ్యాంక్ అంటారు. So in our country, that bank is called as Reserve Bank of India. That Reserve Bank of India Act, which was taken in the year of 1934, okay, and established in the year of 1935, and nationalized in the year of 1949. So meaning, if you see, the bank which controls value of currency and credit in any country, that is simply we can say that central banking. So this is second category. This is రెండవ category. If you go to third category, RRBs. Third category we can say that RRBs. RRBs means regional rural banks. Regional rural banks. We can say that RRB. Regional rural banks. So regional rural banks, third category, we will say. So already you know, I told you clearly, there are 5 categories. Among the 5, the third category is regional rural banks, RRB. So up to 25, 1975 వరకు, the banks and their branches most probably established in urban areas only. But what about rural area? The banking facilities which are to be required to extend in the rural areas. So whenever required to extend the banking facilities in the rural areas, they should be need to establish some of the banks in rural areas, and that banks which we can say that regional rural banks. Okay, if you go for definition, the banks which are established with the objective of extending credit and other banking facilities in the rural areas. See, The banks which are established with the objective of extending credit and other banking facilities in the rural areas. So banks which are required to establish to extend the credit and other banking facilities, especially in the rural areas, known as RRBs, regional rural banks. And the important points, if we discuss about the regional rural banks, RRBs, they are established in our country on the October 2nd, 1975. Why October 2nd? There is an importance for our country. It is, we know, Gandhi Jayanti. Mahatmudu, Jatipita, Gandhi garu puttina roju. So on that date, October 2nd, in the year of 1975, regional rural banks were established. ప్రాంతీయ గ్రామీణ బ్యాంకులను స్థాపించడం జరిగింది. But regional rural banks are not established on their own. They were established with the capital of, with the supporting of three sectors or three people, that is central government, state government and sponsored bank. The central government will contribute 50% of capital and concerned state government will contribute 15%, 15% of capital, and any one of the commercial bank must be sponsored 35% of capital. ఏదో ఒక వాణిజ్య బ్యాంకు కూడా స్పాన్సర్ చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. దట్ ఈస్ 35% ఆఫ్ క్యాపిటల్. ఇట్ మీన్స్ 50:15:35. Central government, concerned state government and sponsored bank. So this is actually the brief explanation regarding regional rural banks. ప్రాంతీయ గ్రామీణ బ్యాంకుల గురించి. So this is actually third category. ఇది మూడో కేటగిరీ. And if you go to fourth category, నాలుగో కేటగిరీ వెళ్ళినట్టయితే కోఆపరేటివ్ బ్యాంక్స్. In Telugu we can say that సహకార బ్యాంకులు, cooperative banks. So cooperative banks in India actually started with the cooperative movement of 1904. There was a big cooperative movement which was started by Acharya Vinoba Bhave in the year 1904. 1904లో ఒక పెద్ద సహకార ఉద్యమము మొదలైందండి భారతదేశంలో. అండ్ విత్ దట్ కోఆపరేటివ్ మూమెంట్, ఆ సహకార ఉద్యమంతో కోఆపరేటివ్ బ్యాంక్స్ విచ్ వర్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్డ్ ఇన్ అవర్ కంట్రీ, మన దేశంలో మొదలైందని చెప్పుకోవచ్చు. అండ్ దీస్ కోఆపరేటివ్ బ్యాంక్స్ మెయిన్ మోటివ్, మెయిన్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ or main objective is one for all for one. Listen once again. The main objective of the cooperative banks, even the cooperative movement also, which was started for achieving of the particular principle, particular objective. That is, so remember all of you, one for all for one. అందరి కోసం ఒకరు, ఒకరి కోసము అందరూ అనే ప్రాథమిక సూత్రంతో ద కోఆపరేటివ్ మూవ్మెంట్, సహకారోద్యమం పెద్ద ఎత్తున 1904లో మొదలైంది. అండ్ విత్ ద సపోర్ట్ ఆఫ్ దట్ కోఆపరేటివ్ మూవ్మెంట్ ఇన్ ద ఇయర్ 1904, సో వీ కెన్ సే దట్ కోఆపరేటివ్ బ్యాంకింగ్ సిస్టమ్ విచ్ వాజ్ స్టార్టెడ్ ఇన్ అవర్ కంట్రీ, మన దేశంలో మొదలైంది. And in our country, the cooperative banks which are worked in three-tier management, we can say in Telugu, మూడంచెల సహకార విధానము మన భారతదేశంలో కొనసాగుతూ ఉంది. 3-tier management of cooperative system which is going on in our country. That 3-tier management of cooperative system is, you can say that primary cooperative banks, district central cooperative banks and state central cooperative banks. See once again, primary cooperative banks, first stage, district central cooperative banks, second one, and state central cooperative banks, third one. So mainly, pradhanamga, primary cooperative banks which were there working in the rural areas, and district central cooperative banks which are located in the district headquarters, Jilla Kendralalo untayi, and third one, state central cooperative banks which are available or which are established in state headquarters. So state headquarters lo located untayi. But the main objective of these cooperative banks to provide finance to farmers at a lower rate of interest. The main objective of the cooperative banks, ఈ సహకార బ్యాంకుల యొక్క ప్రధాన ఉద్దేశం ఏంటంటే to provide finance and extending banking facilities, especially to the farmers in the rural areas. ప్రత్యేకంగా రైతులకు మాత్రమే ఫైనాన్స్, విత్తాన్ని, బ్యాంకింగ్ ఫెసిలిటీస్ ని అందించడానికి మాత్రమే. It means simply we can say that the objective of the establishment of cooperative banks for country to provide finance to the farmers in the rural areas with low rate of interest. Remember, తక్కువ వడ్డీ రేటుకి రైతులకు గ్రామీణ ప్రాంతాలలో రుణాలు అందజేసేటటువంటి బ్యాంకులు ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో వాటిని మనం సహకార బ్యాంకులని చెప్పుకోవచ్చు. ఇవి మన దేశంలో 3 టైర్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ తో నడుస్తున్నాయి. ప్రాథమిక సహకార బ్యాంకులు, ప్రైమరీ కోఆపరేటివ్ బ్యాంక్స్ established in rural areas, district central cooperative banks established in district headquarters, and state central cooperative banks established or located in state headquarters. So this is the thing. And if you go to last one, fifth one, exchange banks. So this is only we can say that foreign exchange banks. This is we can say that Videshi Vinimaya Bankulo. So simply we can say that one more point is foreign banks. You see, the banks which are established not only in our country, the banks which are established that in another country means, so not in India, other country, and extending operations in our country also, simply we can say that they are called foreign banks. The foreign banks are established in other country, ఇతర దేశంలో స్థాపితమయ్యి, and they are extending their facilities, they are extending the banking transactions, and they are extending the banking facilities in our country also. మన దేశంలో కూడా extend చేస్తే they are simply called foreign banks. But here is foreign exchange banks. So in olden days, you know, the exchanging of money from one country to another country must be particular bank. So nowadays every bank is doing that particular operation also. ప్రస్తుతము every commercial bank, ప్రతి commercial bank కూడా that particular operation is doing. ఆ పర్టికులర్ విధి ఆపరేషన్ నిర్వహిస్తూ ఉంది. కానీ in olden days, పాత కాలంలో the exchanging of money from one country to another country, even if you take small example, from dinar to rupee, from rupee to dinar, or from dollar to rupee, the currency must be converted or exchanged in particular banks. ఒక ప్రత్యేకమైన బ్యాంకులలోనే మార్పిడి జరిగేవి. And those are the banks we can say that foreign exchange banks are exchange banks. Simply we can say that in Telugu, Vinimaya Bankulu. It means conversion of money from dollar to rupee, or conversion of money from dinar to rupee, or simply exchanging of one currency to another currency. ఒక కరెన్సీ నుంచి ఇంకో కరెన్సీకి మార్పిడి చేసేటటువంటి బ్యాంకులు. Those are the banks. For simple example, we can say that Greenless Bank, American Express Bank, Standard Chartered Bank. Okay, those are the examples for foreign exchange banks. But you have to remember, you people, at present, prastutamu, this function also doing by commercial banks. ఈ మార్పిడి అనేది ఈ విధంగా కూడా this function also at present ప్రస్తుతము so done by the commercial banks so that the people, there is no requirement, there is no need to rush to only exchange banks for conversion of their money. They simply convert their money even in the commercial banks also. This is actually the fifth category. So in today's class we have discussed, listen once again, unit number 1, the title, it is introduction. So in that unit number 1, the topic we have discussed today is types of banks. Bankulalo rakalu. And the types of banks, mainly you have to listen that there are 5 categories, 5 categories unnai. But all these 5 categories in deeply we were not discussed in the today's class. Briefly we have discussed. In deep, why we are not discussed in this class? Because we are discussing about first unit. In first unit only briefly we have to discuss, because the rest of the units which are to be required to cover the things like this. Whatever 5 categories I'm telling, commercial bank only in the first unit, and central banking so allotted to second unit portion, and regional rural banks, RBs and cooperative banks, third unit, etc., which is there in our syllabus. So that this is only first unit we are discussing, so that only briefly we have discussed that about 5 categories. ఈ 5 రకాల గురించి మనం సంక్షిప్తంగా మాత్రమే ఈ రోజు చర్చించుకున్నాం. ఎందుకంటే తర్వాత వచ్చేటటువంటి యూనిట్లలో కూడా వీటి గురించి డీప్ గా ఉంటుంది. So that listen once again, the 5 categories, what are the categories are there? First one is commercial banking, second is central banking, third is regional rural banking, fourth is cooperative banking, and fifth is exchange banking. ఈ 5 రకాలలో commercial banks which are to be given the banking facilities to all types of people of the society, సమాజంలో ఉన్న అన్ని రకాల ప్రజలకు కూడా బ్యాంకింగ్ సౌకర్యాలు అందించే వాటిని we can say that commercial banking. And central banking is for every country there must be required to administrate, to monitor one bank, that is we can say that central bank. In our country central bank is named as the Reserve Bank of India. If you go to the category regional rural banks which are established especially in the rural areas, extending banking facilities to rural people, established in the year of 1975 in our country on the important date October 2nd. And fourth one is cooperative banking. The cooperative banking, so which was started in our country with the cooperative movement of 1904, and there is a 3-tier of cooperative movement and cooperative banking system which is going on in our country. Primary cooperative banks, district central cooperative banks, and state central cooperative banks. And last one is exchange banks or foreign exchange banks, the banks which are working for the exchanging of money or exchanging currency. Simply we can say that exchange banking or foreign exchange banking. So with this and today's class I'm concluding. So once again I am suggesting all of you people, we have discussed today in our class unit number 1 and topic types of banking, and what actually I told you 5 categories. So with this I am concluding this class. Thank you all of you. This is Dr. Salaiah, Assistant Professor of Commerce, Government College, Kukatpally. Once again, thank you all of you.